And it was just so peaceful to be able to just be with yourself and have those moments. So I totally recommend that. Some people feel it's scary, but I think as you get used to it, you can really understand the benefits of it. You have to be brave in life. Go for it.
Welcome to Solo Travel Unpacked, where we explore the world one solo travel story at a time. I'm your host, Kelly, and I believe that solo travel is a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and connection. Each episode, we'll meet a different solo traveler and hear their insights, experiences, and lessons learned. We'll also take a look at a key solo travel topic to give you the tools and inspiration for your own adventure. It's time to hear from today's guest and unpack another solo travel story. If you love adventure but want the ease of group travel, G Adventures has been leading the way for over 30 years. They get what solo travelers want: flexible itineraries, smaller groups, freedom to explore, and local guides who make sure you experience a destination in a way that you never could on your own. Visit the link in this episode description to book a trip with G Adventures. Welcome back to Solo Travel Unpacked, the podcast where we explore the world one solo travel story at a time. My guest today is Osa, an independent solo traveler who resides in New York. With 6 solo trips under her belt, including a recent trip to Block Island, Rhode Island, Osa has mastered the art of traveling on her own terms. She's also no stranger to tropical escapes, having visited Hawaii more than 20 times. In this episode, we'll explore how solo travel can be a powerful way to reset and recover from the demands of daily life. From making every decision without compromise to embracing the freedom of exploration, Osa will share her insights on how solo travel can nourish both the mind and soul. Whether you're looking for inspiration or advice on your next solo adventure, this conversation is sure to leave you feeling empowered. So get ready to be inspired. Osa, welcome to Solo Travel Unpacked. I'm so excited to have you here. You've taken multiple solo trips, including a recent one to Block Island, and you're passionate about how solo travel can be a way to reset and recharge from daily life. I can't wait to dive into this with you. But to start, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I am someone who really didn't travel as a kid in a traditional sense on an airplane. I traveled, my dad had a boat, and we'd go to Nantucket every summer on a sailboat. And then when I sort of got into my 20s, I started traveling a lot and it just really became this, how can I fit another trip into 3 days off from work? And I would just shove them in. And next thing I knew, I was doing 5 to 6 trips a year. And I really found that one of the benefits was that I always had something to look forward to. And that just sort of helped me deal with corporate life and just life in general. And then the solo trips just, and I'll get into this more with you, is just really been about, listening to myself. What I love about solo trips is you don't need to compromise. There's no one to ask permission. You just do whatever you want. You want plans, make plans. You don't want plans, don't make plans. It's really kind of a unique experience.
Yeah, Nantucket on a sailboat sounds magical.
Well, so I'm happy to get into that. We would go, and my dad was very creative, and we had this 33 boat sail. If you know anything about sailboats, it's a whole thing. Anyway, we would anchor in between where the 70-foot yachts would pay like $10 a foot to be overnight. And people would be out on moorings, and we would be there with our little boat going in and out. My dad would rent bicycles for the week, and we would bike all over Nantucket. And the beaches there are amazing, and it's just so quaint and cute.
Yeah, that sounds magical. And my knowledge of sailing is below deck on Bravo. So I'll put it through that filter of that's what I know.
Those boats were the below deck ones. I was not on that.
I love that point you made. And it's one I've heard a couple of times already as I've been recording, of people saying, you can just kind of go as you want to go. You don't have to check with anybody else. So I'm here sensing a reoccurring theme as I do this. And I also, the part about giving yourself something to look forward to is such an important detail that I think it's lost. And I always say that. I live in Ohio, so after the holidays, I'm like, I've got to have a trip in February to give myself something to look forward to. But I think you make a point, February or whatever the day might be, it just really gives you something to focus on.
And I would piggyback that and say there's benefits on coming home and looking back on that trip and pulling out your photos. You can really get a lot of out of those trips.
Absolutely.
It's not just a while you're there experience. There's just so much to draw from.
Yeah, and I know that's the perfect segue when you speak of drawing from that, how important that wellness is to you. So, can you speak a little bit about how your travel journey and what wellness intertwines together with that?
So I think, as I was saying, as I started to really get into more of these trips and I started to notice that they really was, as you said, something to look forward to, I would just start planning. I would, even when I would go online and like look or go to books before, different periods in my life, I would hit Barnes and Noble for an afternoon or something and pull all the destinations out of the bookshelves that I wanted to read. It was just, I would start to get into my head how I would feel. And then when I would go on the trip, I'd actually make specific plans on my solo trips. I did one to San Diego, where I went to this yoga retreat. It was like a yoga studio that I found. And I just
Hmm.
went there like multiple times on my trip. And it was just like you get into a groove. You get into like, oh, I found my class. I'm going to go. There's a coffee shop across the way. I'm going to go hit the coffee shop. And it's just this really nice rhythm that you get in that makes you feel really good. And it was just so peaceful to be able to just be with yourself and have those moments. So I totally recommend that. There, some people feel it's scary, but I think as you get used to it, you can really understand the benefits of it. You have to be brave in life. Go for it.
Oh, I totally agree with you, which is why I think we're having this convo. Also, I love the shout out to Barnes and Noble. I think bookstores are making a comeback. I hope they are. I'm so intrigued because when you think about that, you go to Barnes and Noble or bookstore, Google, everything's at your fingertips, right? All of these different destinations for whatever reason you might want to go to. So, how did you end up blending in kind of this rest and recovery and wellness into your travel versus maybe a trip that's more for adventure? How did you end up down that path on some of your trips?
It was really just tapping into myself and, even making spa appointments, like you get a massage. Like you said, I've been to Hawaii many times. And I had a thing where I would always go to this one spa location. It was pricey, it was a splurge. It's sort of like you have to invest in yourself, it, like really makes a big difference. It also helps people know that you're serious about yourself, so they should be serious
Mhm.
about you. There's actually additional benefits post the the trip. Or you can blend them actually. You
Yep.
could have one day that is more adventurous. I mean, on this, I'm thinking about the San Diego trip. It was totally low key. I like walked the beach. I went to this yoga studio. I was totally low key. And I felt like for being alone, sometimes that's better because like you can really hear yourself. And I think that connection really helps you for crisis moments or whatever you're kind of dealing with and or getting happy, like making sure
Yeah.
you're feeling good. And always journaling has been part of my sort of wellness toolbox. And so I do that on the road. Sometimes I would even write letters to people. Like I'd have so much time on these trips that I would write letters home to family, and it's fun. Like people love getting it, and then it sort of just builds more relationships. It's like sort of a nice thing.
And that's really special. Somebody else that I spoke to, another solo traveler, Ella, was talking about that as well. And it's a piece of advice that she had to find your own thing, right? She loves to swim. So that was her release if she's on a group solo trip. That was her moment to get away if she needed to recharge, to swim or to go find a vegan health food. So I think it's really interesting that you talk about yoga or journaling or whatever that is for you. There's so many different outlets, and it's very helpful if you can find that and nourish it on these trips. You started to touch on this a little bit. Do you have any advice on any solo travelers or how they could have any tips from you on really being able to disconnect and recharge? I know there absolutely is a balance. Some people want these super active trips, which is great. But for people that really want to kind of decompress, any tips that you might give them? And now a quick break. Solo travel doesn't have to mean traveling alone. With G Adventures soloist trips, you get the best of both worlds. Independent exploration with the built-in support of a small group. These trips are designed exclusively for solo travelers, creating an instant connection from day one. Whether you're dreaming of Bali, Egypt, Belize, or beyond, G Adventures takes care of all the details so you can focus on the experience. Thoughtfully planned itineraries make it easy to bond with your group while still leaving room for personal adventure. Visit the link in this episode description to book a trip with G Adventures today.
I would say the real key is sort of give yourself permission to be loose and be in the
Mhm.
moment and say, you know what, if I see something interesting, I'm going to stop and, kind of go in that direction. And if I see someone interesting to chat with, I'm going to have that conversation. I'm not going to rush and really give yourself, go easy. You have
Slow
one,
down.
yes, slow down. I sometimes would only use, like, if I'm in a foreign country, sometimes I will only use my phone if I have a Wi-Fi. I think it's worth taking sort of for every adventure one to take more of a chill trip to just sort
Yeah.
of like, change a different speed. And it's also like a discipline. Like, can I do it? Like, it's a challenge to yourself. Can I do a little bit of a chill trip? Like, what will happen? Well, these are like good ways to sort of decompress and just get into your soul. And I think the benefits are many, but I would say go for it. You don't have to ask anyone permission. Just do your
Yeah.
thing.
And
So
I love,
liberating.
yes. Another word that I'm hearing so often is liberating. But it's such a good point, too, when you talked about allowing yourself to slow down, allowing yourself to decompress. And we're moving so quickly and we're just doing things so mindlessly. We just get into those routines to allow yourself to just breathe. So you've talked about the yoga retreats, you've talked about a couple different places that you've gone. Are there any other activities or places maybe that you have found to be particularly effective for wellness?
I think you don't have to actually go to like a specific resort personally. That's mine. Some people like mountains. You can, go for a hike or something, and you can hike near a beach. I've done that too. But yeah, I would say those are the kind of things I think are benefiting that, like, that you can chill out. I think when you get into a city, sometimes it's a little harder, I think, to relax because there's a pace. If you go to like a smaller town, I went to, it wasn't a solo trip, but I went to Majorca on a trip where there was like there was a cadence. You woke up, you got coffee, you went and did something, got a newspaper, you came back, and I did like 3 or 4 days, and that was very helpful for nourishing the soul and like a very relaxed experience. I think also long
Yeah.
walks are really helpful. I don't think you actually have to go to a resort. You can really call your own shots, which is nice.
Those are all such good points because something I wanted to talk to you about was what are maybe some of the small, impactful, wellness habits solo travelers can integrate into their trips already? Even, I was going to touch on the budget part, but you've brought up so many good points already about something so simple as journaling or taking a walk, or again, whatever that looks like to you. It's such a unique thing, but to really just enable yourself to have those moments and recharge in a way that works best for you.
Definitely. When I'm traveling by myself, somehow I always get into budget mode. Except like I'll have a splurge, maybe like a massage as a splurge. I'll go on mass transportation. I'm like an adventurer. I'm like figuring it out. I'm checking the schedule. I'm meeting random people that are local. Like, it's a great way to meet local people. You have to sort of have that mindset that you're okay with it. I think those are just great ways to be conscious of your budget. Those are a lot of my key tips.
They're wonderful. I'm learning so much from everybody that comes on. And, we've got some people listening that are experienced solo travelers, some that maybe are trying to dip their toe into it. So curious for someone listening that might be feeling a little bit burnt out, but also hesitant about taking that solo trip. Any advice you could offer them?
So how do you get brave when you're used to traveling with other people? No, I totally hear it. You can go somewhere where you know someone or you've been before. I actually like sometimes going back to some place that I've been to, but because I've been with other people, I haven't been able to check out that random bookstore or go into that
Hmm.
cute shop or try that coffee shop. And I will go back and map out different places to get at that. And that can be a nice way to dip your toe in. Another trick I use, which I don't know is a little counterintuitive perhaps, is I might be like on a family trip and I'll stay behind for 3 or 4 days and do a little bit of a solo trip that way. Sometimes I find it lonely, just being honest with you. And sometimes I've found it very invigorating. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like in the moment I'm lonely and then I think back and I'm like, that was amazing. So it's always
Yeah.
sort of this kind of like process.
You talked too about adding onto your trip. That's actually something that Lindsay, another one of our guests that spoke about, loves to bookend one of her trips with extending it. And it's a good way, especially if you're doing solo as a group. If you're like, I've been with these people, to your point, now I want to decompress. So really kind of tagging that on at the end. And it sounds like Osa, you've got a really good routine of incorporating wellness. But have you ever faced any challenges while trying to maintain wellness on the road? Maybe before you got into your yoga routine, and how did you work around those?
I was doing a lot of business travel and I was unhappy. I was eating like crap. I really was off the bandwagon. And over time, I sort of was able to start to figure out, oh, I have to stick to a very specific diet, only salad. I don't experiment on all these interesting things. No, you got to stay really crystal clear and just sort of and go to the gym. You can walk outside also, but it's sort of like there's something interesting for like an hour to just like put your headphones in and you're
Hmm.
just chilling out, walking. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I do agree. Like I sometimes would kind of definitely business travel took a while to figure out like you had to have some rules. Like you can only eat salad and you have to go to the gym in the morning or you kind of lose it.
I know calories don't count on vacation until like the couple days in, and then you feel like absolute crap. Like
Yes.
maybe they should start to count again.
I think like if you sort of say they don't count, but am I going to be happy with myself afterwards? And like,
Uh-huh.
but there's different times in your life. You could be in a stretch of your life where you're just like, I'm eating whatever. And then you could be in a period where I'm buckling down. Like everyone, I think, kind of navigates that differently. That was a learning for me.
Oh my gosh, I've learned so much, Osa, and I know you've done so much travel. So I'm curious, since you've done solo travel, is there a trip that stands out to you, maybe one that challenged you or surprised you, or just an unforgettable experience that you want to share?
I think it would be really that San Diego trip that I did mention. Like, I found that yoga studio that really kind of changed me. I'm still on their mailing list and I hear about them and I go back to that memory of being there and I remember, being in a pose, in a yoga pose and hearing you could hear voices from the neighbors and there was someone who was screaming to their kids, dinner time. And I can remember that. And that sort of brings me back to that moment of peace and wow, like that was great. Like and also even like looking at photos. I'm going to include a photo that maybe you're going to have on Instagram where
Yeah.
from the beach there was like a doll that I found in San Diego and it's just such a random like I took a picture of it. It's like a girl with an orange skirt and it's just such a cute like beach ornament or something like that and just those random experiences are just so amazing. I think that just adds so much value to your life to have different experiences and different things hit you and they sort of like I
Yeah.
said help you during crisis moments. Hopefully you don't have any,
Hmm.
but if you do, like places to draw on.
Take you to those moments of calm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Osa. I have absolutely loved chatting with you. You have memories and tips to share with our listeners. So, to wrap up the show, we are going to end today's episode with how we end every Solo Travel Impact episode, asking you these three questions. The advice I'd give to someone considering solo travel is.
The advice I give to someone considering solo travel is go for it. You're going to have so much fun learning about yourself, meeting random people, and kind of finding a new path forward that you hadn't considered. I just recommend doing it. Go for it. You're brave. I believe in you.
I love it. Do it. My favorite part about solo travel is.
My favorite part about solo travel is the freedom that you don't have to consult anyone. Wherever you want to eat, you can go. What time you want to wake up, you wake up. You want to eat ice cream at midnight, you eat ice cream at midnight. You want to go to the pool at 2 in the morning, you do that. It's just amazing that you don't need to compromise with anyone else. And it's just, that freedom is wonderful.
You do you. Something I learned about myself during solo travel is.
Something I learned about myself during solo travel is that it's okay to be like uncomfortable in your skin sometimes. Like I said, I sometimes am I have been lonely. And it's fine. It's like an emotion. You just deal with it and then go with it. And I learned that I'm okay feeling uncomfortable sometimes and that I'll be fine. And then things randomly change. And it's just kind of like being comfortable with the uncomfortable, but knowing that
Mm-hmm.
everything's going to be fine.
I love that. Osa, this has been such a great conversation. I've loved getting to know you, and you've highlighted the ways that solo travel can be a powerful tool for wellness and self-care, which so many great examples. Your insights on embracing independence and using travel as a way to reset are so inspiring. I love your yoga story. I think that's really special. To everybody listening, if you've been thinking about taking a solo trip to focus on yourself and step away from the demands of life, I hope this episode has given you the motivation to go for it. Osa, thank you so much for coming on today.
Kelly, this has been so much fun. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care.
Take care.
Every episode brings a new perspective, so be sure to subscribe and join us next time to meet another incredible solo traveler. If you love this episode, let's keep the conversation going. Follow us on Instagram at Solo Travel Unpacked Pod or on Facebook at Solo Travel Unpacked. And if you have a solo travel story to share, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out to be a guest. Until next time, let's explore the world one solo travel story at a time. G Adventures soloist trips are all about meaningful connections with people, places, and experiences. You'll see the must-visit highlights, embrace unexpected moments, and have the freedom to make the journey your own, all while traveling alongside like-minded solo adventurers. Ready to go? Check out the link in this episode description to find your soloish adventure today.